you don't keep your word, there's people around you that are going to fail on you. It could be your wife, it could be your kids, it could be people you do business with.
He's going to devalue his word everywhere. Even more importantly, himself, which is probably the worst one.
You're a man living in the modern world in a time when men and manhood are not what they once were. You live life on your own terms. You're self-sufficient. You think for yourself, and you march to the beat of your own drum. When life knocks you down, you get back up, because in your gut, you know that's what men do. You're a badass and a warrior, and on the days when you forget, we are here to remind you who you really are.
Welcome to Sovereign Man Podcast, where we aim to make men masculine again. I'm your man, Nicky Billou, and I'm here with my man, Rob Arpa. What's up, Arp?
Not much, brother. Sun is shining, so it's always a good day.
It is. Can you see that? You can see the sunshine rays? That's fucking great.
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
shut this down to make it a perfect space. I want the sunlight coming in. So, Arpa, we want to talk today about men who don't keep their word. And specifically, we want to talk about men who fuck up on payments when they owe money. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay. So men that don't pay or don't pay on time, I think that's probably like one of the most easiest things a man can keep his word to, but the most difficult for a man to ask for help in. At least that's been my experience. I think you would agree with that, right?
Absolutely. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm sure pride plays into it. There's always the fear of judgment, which I think the more I do this work and the more I think about things, I think that's the ultimate fear that men have, is the fear of judgment from others. And as we all know, or you and I do from the training we've done, fear unfaced leads to doubt, and doubt kills the warrior, right?
That's right.
And I see that more and more in men all the time, where they they say that they're afraid of something else. Oh, I'm afraid to fail. It's like, are you? Not really. But do you fear more of the backlash that's going to come, or potential backlash that the story that your mind has told you, to prevent your ego from getting hurt from what might come from spouse, friends, others, and so forth, right? So I think that's what that is. I think most men, or few men, actually are able to face the fear to call someone else that they've had an agreement with and say, hey, look, I messed up, something went wrong, and I need more time, or I need help. A very humbling experience. And most men can't face that.
They can't. But there's also men who, come to a point where they just like, hey, man, I don't have the money. And they do have the money. You know what I mean? They just will need to fucking liquidate some investments, some sales, some savings, and things like that. And they're just reluctant to do it. And that in and of itself is a way of not keeping your word, because you're not
100%.
being truthful. You're not being truthful with the person. You're telling him you can't pay, you can pay, you're just choosing not to until circumstances are a particular way. And that really isn't the problem, the person you owe money to. That's the problem that you have. And you need to just come up with a way to pay the money and not be dishonorable about it.
So I think there's two things there at play. And one, I think what a man needs to look at in that instance is his addictions, right?
Say more about that.
Well, if a man's got investments and savings, whatever, and they're choosing not to utilize those assets to maintain their word, to me, that's their addictions dictating their actions. They are addicted, to the money, the investments, and whatever that shit might bring them, rather than being disciplined in liquidating an investment that could be in a temporary loss, to maintain their commitment and their word as a man.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Honestly, I think that's the way it works. A man that refuses to do that would rather damage his word and keep the addiction going.
So what's the impact on that man
great.
when he damages his word?
Well, to the man himself, he's going to devalue his word, and the problem with that is he's going to devalue it everywhere, and it's not just with the said person he had a commitment with, but now he's going to devalue that word with his spouse, his wife, his kids, and even more importantly, himself, which is probably the worst one.
Why is it the worst one?
Oh, that's my mom. Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
I gotta put my phone in the airplane mode. That's my mother that was calling. I'll have to call her back. But yeah, well, what do you do?
Mother.
But so we were talking about a man that so what they're doing when they choose to devalue the word, the word that's going to affect them the most is the one that affects themselves. So as human beings and as ego-driven individuals, which we all have, we all are, when nobody is watching is the easiest when you can break that word to yourself without being able to harm your ego, right? It's not going to, it's not going to go into preservation mode where it's like, oh, you better do this, otherwise, someone else is going to, judge you and all that other shit, right? So that all that becomes null and void because no one's watching. But that's where us as men and me as a man, where we make the most strides is keeping our words to ourselves and fulfilling and doing the things that we said we'd be disciplined to. So that's the big hit on that. The other challenge is now there's a massive domino effect where a man now is offloading his responsibilities and obligations onto somebody else, right? So now in that instance, of a man not fulfilling a commitment to pay for a contract or his end of the contract, that has a cascading effect in the whole world, in terms of economics. He's offloading the stress onto the other person because now that other person was relying on that sale being paid for the work that they've done in order to compensate someone else for some sort of other investment or service. Who knows what that could be. And the whole house of cards could fall just because of someone simply just not fulfilling that obligation.
So here's the other thing, right? If a man isn't keeping his word to himself, he chips away at his trust in himself. And
yes,
when that man doesn't trust himself, then let's say he has a big, hairy, audacious goal he's trying to achieve. I don't know, maybe he's trying to lose 40 pounds, or maybe he's trying to make $1 million, or whatever the fuck it may be.
Sure.
When his trust in himself is ebbing and it's at a low, he's not going to fucking be able to make that happen because he doesn't believe he can do it, because he has evidence that his word is shit.
I think more so he knows subconsciously that whatever comes out of his mouth is bullshit, and not in the sense of bullshit where it's to make someone else feel good. And maybe it is. A man that says to himself, "Oh, I'm going to go out and make $1 million," but it's all bullshit. He's not going to do that. It's not going to happen. Because his word is shit. It's just garbage in, garbage out, right? And that's true. That's the whole effect of not keeping one's word to others and to himself. It's easier to maintain your word with somebody else than it is with yourself, 100%. But yeah, the ramifications are greater, much greater.
Ramifications are catastrophic if you think about it. A man who's lost the ability to trust himself basically has lost the ability to live a life that matters.
Yeah. There's absolutely, good reason as to, why families dissolve, why are things not going the way that they should be going, as they traditionally did. There were definite advantages, measurable that some countries track the statistics and some don't. But there's measurable advantages to the nuclear family, and maybe it doesn't apply to 100% of the population, but it did to more than 80%. That's for sure. And there's a whole lot of challenges we have that we're facing today because that whole system is broken down, and a lot of it could be, simply because men do not strive on keeping their word, right? Our the West had grown exponentially, stemming from the day where a man was his word and you kept it. If you didn't, there were severe ramifications for that.
Severe.
And yes, and now we've got this whole this legal system that overcomplicates a process that's just absolutely stupid. And unfortunately, as long as you have the means, you can more or less get your way, and it doesn't work. Because back in the day, it didn't matter how much money you had, you either kept your word or
You
could
got
have been
you got smashed.
beat up, shot. Back in the old Wild West days, you don't do what you say you're going to do. There's severe consequences, as opposed to today. Now, maybe a financial penalty, but if you've got enough cash, you can probably walk away from that. So,
See, there's not immediate societal consequences, but as you said before, there are severe consequences in your day-to-day interactions. Because if you don't keep your word, there's people around you, they're gonna fucking just bail on you. That could be your wife, it could be your kids, it could be people you do business with. But more
100%.
important than that, you bail on yourself, right? You bail on yourself. So I would argue, because societal consequences have disappeared, the real consequences have become magnified in their impact. What are your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, oh no, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. In terms of societal consequences, I think that even that can go to an extreme. A man that gets separated from his family
Yes.
has these financial obligations that can be very heavy on that man. And then it could be worse. A man that doesn't fulfill his social obligations could get stuck now fighting the government, which has endless bounds of money to take you through a court system they've designed and stacked against you. So like there could be huge societal impacts, but the likelihood of that of a societal impact is probably lesser than a social one within social circles. But again, what man wants to be ostracized from his social circle? Like going out into the world alone is probably the absolute worst thing that could ever happen to anyone, man or woman. Nobody can survive by themselves. And I think the easiest example to looking at that is, I hate to say it, but any woman that says she doesn't need a man, and then the first person she calls is some dude to fix her car, like it's not,
Ridiculous. It's a joke, right? It's a fucking joke.
yeah, it's sad. Like you're not, you're there's always an exchange in a relationship. You exchange, could be goods like or services like housework and whatever, even companionship, for being able to leverage the other person for whatever else they're good at. And then in that situation, you're exchanging cash for service. Like it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing, except one at the end of the day, the plumber gets paid and is gone, and then you're stuck at home with your cat or your dog. And in the other situation, yeah, you might be stuck with some other bum on a log. Maybe he speaks English instead of barking. Who knows? But is there a right answer? Probably not.
Well, I think we need to make sure that we give the message out to men that pay your fucking bills, fulfill your financial obligations, and stop making anyone's problem other than yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir. There's the easiest way for a man for men to increase their word to themselves and the others around them. Easiest one by far is to show up on fucking time, right? And then the other one is like it's the simplest things, like pay your bills. Don't get yourself into a contract that you can't fucking fulfill, and then make sure you fulfill your end of the bargain. You go to fast food restaurants, they want your money before they even give you that stuff, and that's terrible food. It's a great fucking business. You go to a pop machine, it's the same thing. So
pay before you play.
Pay before you play. Especially if you're a man and like you've fucked up shit like that in the past, and credit's not your fucking friend. And by all means, like credit is not your friend. But if you know that this is true of you, then prepay, pay before you play. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't.
No.
So I'm digging this conversation, powerful conversation. And we need to make sure that every man that we know listens to this, every man in our community listens to this. And we need to make sure that men understand that when they don't pay their fucking bills, they're devaluing their word.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
It's true.
It's the bottom fucking line.
Right. You're a business coach, and you've probably seen as well as I have, if not better than I have, how much men and their success degrades when they stop doing,
It's the truth.
businesses fail for that specific reason.
They do.
I know a local supplier of mine, they shut down some of their divisions because of the exact same issue. All right. And that again could have stemmed from, them extending credit to people they shouldn't have, but at the end of the day, like they didn't fulfill what they're supposed to do, and that just didn't work out for them, right? And that sucks, because now you have, especially in that situation where you have a whole community of people that are reliant on you for their livelihoods and their, being able to take care of their families. Now that's all fucked.
Completely
So
fucked.
that's a very big pill to swallow.
Completely
Yeah.
fucked, brother. Completely fucked. And
Yeah.
the power of having a solid word is one of the most significant powers anybody could ever think
Yeah.
to cultivate. And the biggest thing people need to understand is if they don't do that, all they're going to do is create problems for themselves.
Yes.
Period. Full stop. End the fucking story.
Yes.
That's all there is to it.
The old adage of it's easier to make money when you have money is 100% true, because when you're always coming from that knot, it's not just the fact that not having money is harder to get, but like the rate at which a man can produce is so much better when all that is kind of handled. So it absolutely makes no sense to run at a deficit like that. Unless of course you're government, then that's a different story. But any man should not be running massive debts.
No.
There's always ways. There's things to look at. There are luxuries that can come later in life once success is attained, and there's sacrifices that need to be made, and that's the sad truth of reality. Everyone needs to make a sacrifice in order to get ahead.
Everybody does. Everybody does. And it's always valuable to speak to another man about these kinds of issues, because it's like you're having a thinking partner. Speaking to another man and hearing that man reflect back to you some of the things you've said, either if they agree with you or if they disagree with you, or they're bringing some fresh nuances into the conversation, all that's going to do is open things up for you to create a higher level of success in your life. And the number one thing that we men need to learn from each other is don't dishonor your word.
Yeah.
Honor your fucking word. Keep it.
100%.
And what this means in particular, when you owe money, is pay up. As soon as you're able to, pay up. And if you're having an issue and you're really not able to pay,
speak up.
Speak up.
Yeah. 100%.
But if you are able to pay and you're just simply choosing not to pay, that's going to fuck things up for you.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
I think the last thing to add on that is the law of attraction, and whether men believe it or not, it's 100% true. It fucking works.
Yeah.
And if that's how you treat others, guaranteed you're gonna get that same treatment in return.
Yeah.
100%. Your shit will magnitude. So really, do you want to risk that risk?
Yeah. How you treat others is how you will be treated by others.
Yeah.
Brilliantly said.
Right. Yeah. It's right in the commandments for those that are Christian. Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love that
your neighbor is going to do the exact same thing in return. They're following the same commandments, same laws of nature. So if the reverse is true too. You wish bad on them, they're going to wish bad on you, and that shit comes around threefold. So
yeah, what goes around comes around. Amen.
More than once. Yeah, 100%.
Art, as usual, great conversation, and that's all right.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Sovereign Man Podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and become the man you've always wanted to be, we invite you to join the movement at sovereignman.ca.